What do you get when you put an emotionless contract killer and a female Naruto in the same room and have them work on jobs together? This anime right here. A ninja and an assassin under one roof, or Ninkoro as I'm gonna call it because the Japanese abbreviated title is so much less of a mouthful, is a new action comedy anime that started airing here in spring of 2025. Compared to a good deal of the other anime that have come out this season, the show was somewhat of an underdog on the list and one that I decided to check out just because the premise seemed like it might be fun overall. And the first episode was actually something that was far better than I expected. This is where our two main characters, the emotionless Konoha and the ninja girl failure Satoko, meet for the first time. With Satoko being pursued by other ninja from her village and on the verge of giving up when Konoha happens to stumble upon her and deliver a swift kick to the ninja girl's rib cage. Yeah, it's not exactly the most pleasant first meeting, but Satoko's singular ability to turn things into leaves is something that catches the usually sloppy Konoha's attention. See, she's an assassin by trade, and all of her jobs get bad ratings because she leaves a mess of bodies everywhere. And Satoko's ability presents a new opportunity for her to start climbing in the ranks as she cleans up her jobs better. So that's basically how these two end up living and working together. Action-wise, the first episode is really the only one that I would note was good. It's the one where all of the budget and time was clearly spent trying to sell this anime in one go. It certainly looks good, but you'll probably be disappointed to learn that this is the only time the animation looks this good. However, that really doesn't end up being the reason to keep watching this show. Ninkoro is mostly a comedy anime, one that decided to spend all of the budget it had on animating the first episode of the series in spectacular fashion. It's not really one that should be taken for a serious narrative, especially considering the fact that half of the plot is Satoko goofing off like a dumbass and only ever being very useful at housekeeping. So in those regards, it really is just a comedy anime with some action mixed in because it's going to require it based on the premise. Insofar as they're concerned, the two main characters are fun enough to make this show worth watching. Most of what this show is enjoyable for is the relationship between Satoko and Konoha. My comments about Satoko basically being a female Naruto aren't actually all that off the mark. She's a failure as a ninja and only really managed to learn one technique, the ninjutsu that turns things into leaves. But she's a happy-go-lucky ignoramus who was completely unaware of the existence of lesbians right up until an old acquaintance tells her that they're a thing. And then of course you have Konoha, who's basically a kudere except for when she's eating. To her, Satoko is basically a housekeeper with the added benefit of being able to effortlessly dispose of the corpses she leaves behind after a job. The only real value she sees in the ninja girl is her utility, and nothing else. Which becomes a problem later on when another assassin decides to create a robot version of Satoko, that she ends up mistaking for Satoko herself. Just imagine getting cucked by a robotic version of yourself. Now, NTR is the bane of my existence, but I can't help but laugh at the idea of getting cucked by another version of yourself. But hey, after all that, these two are still a pair. Not a good one, as Satoko is a weirdo who can follow people by the scent of their underwear, and Konoha is basically an abusive partner who orders the ninja girl around like a slave. But a pair nonetheless they are. Real great romantic material to work with here, an asshole and a creep. Like I said, there isn't really much of a plot in this one, other than some very clear Yuri romance threads going on with all of the insanity. It really is just an anime that finds its bearing around the comedy derived from its cast of over-the-top characters being assaulted by even more gimmicky ninja pursuers, and being involved in a love triangle made up of killing machines. Aside from Satoko and Konoha, you also have Kuro and Yuriko. So we come to find out that Kuro was the one who convinced Satoko to leave the ninja village in the first place because she needed a bunch of extra bodies to cover her ass as she left to go hang out with her girlfriend. And she also happens to become a deadbeat living off her girlfriend's hard work while she spends her day at the pachinko parlor. A point of stress within their relationship since every time Satoko shows up at their place, she promptly exposes Kuro for not living up to her promise to stop gambling. And I'd like to comment on Yuriko, the regular civilian girlfriend, but she's really not that important in the grand scheme of things, and other than to scold her deadbeat lover over her gambling addiction doesn't really serve a whole lot of point to this story. So from getting cucked by a robot version of yourself to breast enlargement tactics for boob storage space, there's a lot of craziness that goes around with this one. It's funny enough for me to say it's one of the anime I've enjoyed quite a bit this season because the gags have been consistently entertaining and funny, more so in the last few episodes. Yet, most episodes end in a very somber and depressing way, as you're left to ponder the absence of hostile ninjas slain in the pursuit of the rogue Satoko. And I don't know how I feel about this anime letting me linger on the idea of the holes left in society and in friend circles by the rampant butchery Konoha performs. It's almost like it's making fun of the audience for laughing at all the murder and carnage that the main characters cause. I mean, come on, this is supposed to be a happy comedy anime. Stop making me depressed after every single episode, please.